Hey, it's Nikki. Before we start the show, I wanted to invite you to download a free resource that I put together for you as the listener. This is my gift to you. You can get it right now. It is the 17 buying signals. Now, I wrote a whole book about buying signals, and I wanted to put it into a really simple format that you can have at your fingertips or in front of you whenever you want to. So I took out the 17 buying signals from the book, put them on a simple PDF, also gave you the kind of what to do when you get a buying signal, and explain what a buying signal is. So that PDF is available for you as a listener to go and download right now by going to yoursalesmaven.com/17. That's yoursalesmaven.com/17 so that you can start acting on these buying signals and closing more business. All right, when you're ready, let's start the show.
Do sales conversations make you feel awkward or pushy? It's time to ditch the outdated salesy strategies. Your guide, Nikki Roush, will show you how to combine kindness with selling skills to meet your prospects where they are, and in the process, how to up-level your influence and income. Learn how to earn business easily and effortlessly. Here's Nikki.
Welcome, and thank you for listening to the Sales Maven Show. I'm your host, Nikki Roush. I'm your own personal sales maven, here to offer you tips, techniques, and strategies to master your sales conversations. Today's episode is for you when you find yourself in a competitive situation. Maybe you're one of 2 or 3 people being considered for the same project, the same job, the same opportunity. How can you set yourself apart in those situations? So that's what we're going to be talking about today, just you and me here. This is a solo episode from me. So I'm excited to share this with you. This came up in a conversation where I was doing some Q&A in a group a while back. And somebody asked me this question, and I thought, I don't know if I've ever shared this before. This is why I love doing Q&As, because people will ask me questions and I have answers, but I don't always think to share them. And so I'm hoping this is new information, even for those of you who have maybe worked with me for many, many years. This might be new to you, or maybe a little refresher. We'll see. You let me know. Okay, so the thing that you're going to want to think about first and foremost is you want to have the right questions in these situations to understand criteria. And when I say criteria, what I mean is, what criteria will they be using to select the company or the person that they're going to hire for this project? So that's a criteria question. Another criteria question is, who is involved in the decision-making process besides yourself? If you're asking it to one person, so you would say, whom besides yourself is involved in the decision-making process? That's a criteria question. And another one would be around budget or what they have allocated for this project. So you're going to want to ask, that's another criteria question. Maybe you're getting a theme here that it's about understanding criteria in order to earn somebody's business. But some of the language suggestions that I'm going to give you for these situations, another potential situation that I thought of, other than just when you are in a competitive situation, right? Like maybe you're a coach and somebody reaches out to you and they're like, well, I'm interviewing 2 or 3 coaches, business coaches or life coach or whatever type of a coach you are. And so it kind of puts you in that position where you really have to set yourself apart, because they haven't decided to hire you. They're actually considering other people. So this is one of those places where you're going to use some of this information. The other one would be if you find yourself in a situation where the person kind of thinks they need you for a project, but they're not totally sold on whether or not they're going to move forward with the project. So you're going to also be able to use some of this information that I'm going to give you today in those situations as well. So I was trying to make this particular episode robust and hopefully applicable to you, regardless of what your situation is, whether it's that you have somebody who's not quite 100% on board yet, and maybe they show up to that call with you not quite 100% on board yet, or again, you find yourself in these competitive situations. All right. So before I start giving you some of the language, because I love the language piece. So before I give you some language suggestions around this, I wanted to share where I originally learned, and I have tweaked this to make it applicable now to what we're talking about today. But where I first crafted or got the idea behind crafting the types of questions that I'm going to share with you was early on in my career. I was probably in my mid to late 20s, and I was a part of a management team at the company that I worked for. So in the role, I was their national sales manager. In that role, I did a lot of interviewing, and they were hiring at the company. They were hiring for the head of marketing. So I was the sales manager, don't know a thing about marketing, but yet they want me to sit in on these interviews. And I will say again, early 20s, maybe late 20s, mid to late 20s at the time, these people that they were bringing in for these interviews were quite accomplished marketing directors and, just like CMOs. Like, these people had so much experience. And I remember being so intimidated sitting across the table and interviewing these really accomplished professionals and feeling very out of place. But one woman in particular that they brought in, she asked a question towards the end of the interview that I'll never forget. I remember the room that we were sitting in. I remember the way that she framed the question, and it just blew my mind. Now, I'm going to give you a version of this question in a second, but I want to share what she had asked. So she was actually interviewing for the job. So I was she had gone through like a bunch of rounds of interviews, and I think I was in there with my sales mentor at the time. So it was him and I, and this was probably her second or third interview of the day. So we got through kind of our list of questions. Side note, one of the questions he asked her, because this was very much his personality, was, what was your favorite curse word? Which I had to ask him later, like, what did you learn from her answer to that question? But it also helped me be prepared. So if anybody ever asks me what my favorite curse word is, I can say right off the top of my head, like she did. She was so confident when she like blurted out her favorite curse word. But that's not exactly where I'm going with this. Okay, where I'm really going with this is at the end, towards the end of the interview, she looked at him and myself and she said, now, based on everything that you've asked me, what concerns do you have about me being the right person for this position? And wow, I was blown away by that question. I felt like, what confidence? How prepared is this person? Like, she just was so professional, and she asked it in such a kind way, but really kind of put us both in this position of, like, if we had hesitations about her being the right person for the position, this was the table to like lay it out. And by her doing that, and by myself, I can't actually remember if myself or Russ, again, my sales mentor at the time, even had necessarily any objections about her being the right person for the job, because man, she certainly was. And she did get the job, by the way. And she has become, over the years, one of my closest friends. So it was like one of those special moments. But regardless, she asked this question, what hesitation do you have about me being the right person for this position? She really put us as the interviewers now in a position to voice any potential objections that we had. And it was so powerful, because when you can get somebody to voice what their objection is, you have the opportunity to now overcome potentially that objection. So this is where I'm going from a sales side, is that, with objections, people are often really afraid of, oh my gosh, what if the person objects? But if you don't know how to respond to that objection, you probably can't earn the business, because this is how you uncover and then overcome objections. I teach a whole masterclass series on overcoming objections. Well, it's part of a masterclass, but I teach a whole section that's all about overcoming objections. And so by being able to uncover something, it allows for you to then offer a potential solution. So just like with my girlfriend, Stacy is her name, she's so brilliant. When she asked this question in this interview, she gave us the opportunity to voice any concerns, and then it gave her the opportunity to reassure us as to why she might have been the right person for the position. Now, is this going to work every time? No, because sometimes you're not the right person for the position. But then it's better to know that, so you're not going to waste any more time or energy on trying to earn this business. But if there is one little thing that's keeping somebody hesitant to move forward from hiring you, you want to be able to understand what that is, especially if it's something that you can easily overcome. Okay? So now how can you tweak this same question that I just gave that Stacy shared in her interview? How can you take this into your competitive situations? So I mentioned asking about criteria, and I gave you some potential criteria questions that you should be asking. This is one way, by setting yourself really apart from your competitors. Because I find that most people are uncomfortable asking these criteria questions. But if you don't know what criteria somebody's going to be using to select the company or the person or the proposal or whatever you insert, whatever context you want there, if you don't understand what their criteria is, or if you don't ask them, they may not actually know what their criteria is. So by asking the question, it allows for them to get it out into the open, which is super important, because once it's out in the open, then you can make sure that you're addressing their criteria, showing them how you meet that criteria in your proposal, whether that's verbally, a proposal that's verbal, or whether you're actually putting together a formal proposal. You want to make sure that you're addressing the criteria. You're essentially saying, here's all the reasons I'm the right person for this job. Okay? Now, so you've asked your criteria questions. I mentioned a few others. Now, here's how I would frame this question that I mentioned that kind of blew me away in that interview is I would say, what, if any, hesitation might you have about me, or you might say about my company being the right fit for your project? You might insert the project there. What, if any, hesitation might you have about me being the right fit for this project? Or what, if any, hesitation might you have about me being the right coach for you when you're selecting a sales coach? And then you wait. Now, this is a question I do recommend that you ask in a live conversation. Do not put this into an email. Ask this question when you're in that call with somebody. What, if any, hesitation might you have about me being the right, or about my company being the right fit, or about the proposal that I have submitted being the right fit for your project? Then you zip it and you wait and you let them answer. Do not keep talking. That's selling past the close. We got to get whatever the hesitation they have. Now, if they say, I really don't have any hesitation, it seems like you're the right person. Now, that's a really great time to invite them, ask them for their business. Great. Well, I would love to work on this with you. Can we go ahead and get it scheduled? Like, don't just go, well, I know you got to talk to these other people. Like, no. Like, let's invite them. Let them say, no, I'll get back to you. I need to talk to these other people. Don't you say it. So if you get I don't have any hesitations, go ahead and ask for their business. Invite them to work with you. See what happens. You may just find you have a brand new client. All right. I hope this was helpful. I hope that you'll use this question. This is a great one to have in your back pocket. Pull it out. Again, pull it out when you are having conversations where there's other competitors being considered. And also when you get on a call with somebody who's already I'm not really sure if I should move forward with this project or not, you can still bring that question in. What, if any, hesitation might you have about my services being the right solution for us to move forward in, and meet this need that you've mentioned? So you're going to change some context there, but ask that question. All right. I hope this is helpful. I can't wait to hear. Will you let me know? How does this work for you? What questions come to mind as a result of me sharing this particular piece of content in the podcast? Now, if you've been listening to the podcast in 2022, you know that for me, everything is about the year of connection. I truly believe that our connections, our networks are the way for us to really amplify and scale our businesses. So I want to share some of my favorite connections with you. I never let these people know that I'm going to share them, but these are people who I've done business with, people I believe in, people I hope that you will consider when you find yourself a need for one of their products or services, that you will reach out to them. Let them know that you heard about it on the Sales Maven podcast. I hope that that will delight them. But the person that I wanted to, and business specifically, that I wanted to call out today, is Kristin Fisher. Now, Kristin Fisher is the owner of Bocu, Bocu. And you can find information about Bocu on www.shopbocu.com. And Bocu is a personalized hand-wrapped gift boxes. I met Kristin when I was speaking to a group, months and months ago. She was a participant. I came in as a speaker. And I realized very quickly that I had been the receiver of a couple of her gift boxes. And I was so delighted when somebody sent me one of her gift boxes. They're so beautiful. They're wrapped. Every gift inside the box is wrapped. So it's like present upon present. It's a really great, beautiful experience. And I just knew as soon as I met her, when she said what she did, I was like, oh, I've been like the recipient and I love your work and I would like to work with you at some point. So I did hire her to do some gifts for me this last year. And it's been fun for the people who have gotten one of the gift boxes from me, from Sales Maven, that she has curated specifically for Sales Maven, for them to be so delighted by it. I just got a text message actually the other day from somebody who was like blown away by it. And that's because Kristin is so amazing at what she does. So here's a little bit about her company. The goal, she always says, the goal is to make it easy and affordable for you to send a gift without losing the thoughtfulness and intention of a personally hand-wrapped gift. So, and then on her website, it says, when you can't be there to give a hug or a gift in person, she's got you covered. They really do. And she specifically sources products to put in the gift boxes that have a focus on small business, female-owned, minority-owned brands and makers. And each gift box directly supports at least 5 small businesses. So I think you can feel good when you hire her to send some gift boxes for you. And there's all kinds of things you can get. Like in our gift box, she specifically picked Sales Maven colors. She hand wrote messages to each of the people that I sent these to. I got to send her this is the message I want written in the card. So again, it's a way to delight people. And if you're looking for a way to delight your clients or delight people who have, done something that has really benefited you in your life in some way, consider Shop Bocu. It's really Bocu, but the website is shopbocu.com. You can also check her out on Instagram too. She's fun to follow because she'll show some of the gift boxes that she sends out, and they're beautiful. All right. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being here. If you haven't rated and reviewed the podcast yet, would you? I will say I'm super delighted by those 5-star reviews. Thank you so much. If that's something that you have done, and if you haven't done it yet, please leave your rating and or review of the podcast and share it with a friend. And if you'd like a little bit more help, support, guidance in your sales conversations, come hang out with us in the Sales Maven Society. This is my group coaching program. This is where you get access to 2 live group coaching calls with me every single month. You get access to my training center that's packed full of sales trainings on specific sales concepts. And you get access to me and the group in a private Facebook group where there's lots of questions and answers posted regularly. So we'd love to have you join us. You can do that by going to salesmavensociety.com. And if you enter coupon code 47trial, it'll take $100 off your first month. We'd love to have you join. Thanks again for being a listener. I so appreciate you.
Thanks for listening to Sales Maven. Visit us online at yoursalesmaven.com/maven for more resources to boost your confidence and skills.